Mortal Kombat 2 spoiler review. If you have not seen either the 2021 edition or this movie and you do not want to be spoiled, this is your warning to leave. Alright, without further ado, here we go. So this movie starts off what I'm going to assume is a few thousand years ago, because everybody knows in Mortal Kombat lore that Edenians can live for thousands of years. But yes, it starts with a young Kitana being consoled by her dad, King Jerrod, because Shao Kahn is threatening to merge Edenia with Outworld. He assures her it's going to be alright, and he gives her an amulet to summon Lord Raiden from Earthrealm. The only thing standing between Edenia and Outworld being merged is King Jerrod and Shao Kahn. And King Jerrod fights bravely, but ultimately he ended up dying in the most brutal way possible. Then fast forward some years later, it shows an adult Jade and an adult Kitana sparring with each other to prepare for the tournament. Then it zips to Earthrealm to show a down on his luck Johnny Cage at some convention, who gets approached by Raiden and the defenders of Earthrealm to come and fight in the Mortal Kombat tournament that's coming up, which is what I'm glad they did. And Johnny, naturally being who he is, doesn't believe it. He thinks it's all BS, we all. But yes, he ends up being forced to fight in the tournament. It's like, brother, you don't have a damn choice. After Johnny Cage has a powwow with the Earthrealm in regard to the tournament, he says, screw this, send me back. And then it shows him throwing back shots at the bar, reliving old memories from his younger martial arts tournaments and his movie days. And then Ed Boon, he makes a cameo appearance as the bartender to try to reassure him, as did a older fan of his. And lo and behold, he gets zipped back to go fight in Outworld against Princess Kitana, who, well, he has a little bit of a valiant effort, but at the end of the day, he ends up getting starched. But she doesn't finish him. So now with Johnny Cage's loss, Earthrealm is down 1-0, and then it zips directly to the next fight, which is Queen Sindel and Sonya Blade. Now, Sonya Blade versus Sindel was a nice little fight to me, but some people complained that it was a little bit too special effects heavy. I didn't mind because I know that those two actors really aren't martial artists. But yeah, Sonya takes one for Earthrealm because Sindel ends up getting impaled through the eye and the throat with a spike, which I'm glad they threw that stage in there. And of course, you know that they have to throw a MacGuffin in there. So Quan Chi revives Kano, who's pretty much one of the funniest, if not the funniest character in the movie, and takes the amulet that he stole from the first Mortal Kombat movie in there. In exchange, he gives him an eye. Pennywise, if you know, you know. And of course, right before the next round of the tournament, you see Shang Tsung and a Revenant Kung Lao invade the Earthrealm Fighters headquarters, and they try to do even more damage, which Kung Lao is successful because he slashes Raiden's throat with his razor hat. So with this happening, Earthrealm's morale takes a big hit. And in the next round of the tournament, we have Jade versus Jax, Cole Young versus Shao Kahn. We know how this is going to end. And the best fight of the movie, in my opinion, as a martial arts movie buff, Liu Kang versus Revenant Kung Lao. Now, Jade versus Jackson Briggs was a nice little back and forth fight. Jax ends up winning, but he ends up sparing her life. And then Jade asks why. It's like, well, you spared one of ours, so we're even. Cole Young versus Shao Kahn. A lot of people saw this one coming. I didn't think that they were going to kill Cole Young off, but they said he only had like 4 or 5 minutes of screen time. And a lot of people would argue that Cole Young, the only reason why he lost is because Shao Kahn had that damn amulet, which made him indestructible. And come on, Cole Young's power in the very first one was literal plot armor, but it looks like he didn't save him from getting his head crushed with that Warhammer. And everyone's like, well, maybe he can be revived, but he got his head crushed and thrown into the acid pit. Shout out to the acid pit stage from Mortal Kombat. So yeah, there's no way of him coming back. Or is there? But everybody knows that in Mortal Kombat, nobody stays dead for long. And then, which in my opinion was the main event, the Liu Kang versus Kung Lao fight. You get 80% martial arts action and 20% special effects. And the portal stage, it was chef's kiss. That to me is what set it off. That's classic Mortal Kombat 2. But everybody knows that Max Huang, the actor who plays Kung Lao, is a real life martial artist. So they took their time with the stunt work and choreography for this fight. Like I said, of course it has some special effects, but they outdid themselves with the stunt choreography. And the way that Kung Lao controlled his razor hat also was the icing on the cake. But this was a nice little fight, which I would say that Kung Lao had the upper hand for most of it because Liu Kang didn't want to kill him and he didn't want to finish him off, but he ended up doing so anyway, ironically, with his own hat. So now with Earthrealm being down another fighter, this is where we find out that Kitana is a sleeper agent for Earthrealm, but Jade finds this out as well, and she reports this back to Shao Kahn. With Lord Raiden being out of commission and with Earthrealm's forces being weakened, now they figure that in order for them to win, they have to take the fight directly to Shao Kahn. but there's no way to Outworld besides the land of the Tarkatans where Baraka is. And this is where we get one of the best fight sequences and also one of the funniest moments in the damn movie, where we get Johnny Cage versus Baraka. And the way that Johnny Cage locks in and finds himself in order to get the best of Baraka in this fight, he says, "I'm not a martial artist anymore. I'm an actor." And Sonya Blade says, "Well, then do what you do best and act." Now, Johnny Cage does spend a good majority of this fight trying to evade Baraka, but when he eventually locks in and gets in his famous nut punch, he gets universal praise from Baraka. In Baraka's words, "That was effing awesome." And that's kind of out of character for him, especially if you pay attention to the Mortal Kombat video games. But I just thought that was a hilarious bit. But with that in mind, they get from the land of the Tarkatans all the way to Outworld. Earthrealm's remaining forces are in the Outworld throne room, and they see the amulet sitting right there, but they can't get to it. And this is where we see Liu Kang and Shao Kahn go at it with each other. And right before Earthrealm's forces are able to secure the amulet, Shao Kahn calls on a revenant Bi-Han, aka Noob Saibot, to help him secure the amulet. And at this point, this is where the Outworld forces are like, wait a minute, if the remaining Earthrealm forces are here, and Raiden is injured and out of commission, wait a minute, he's all alone. So that's where they send Shang Tsung to try to finish the job. So they figure that if they finish Raiden off, then Shao Kahn can keep the powers of the amulet and still remain invincible. Jackson Briggs also makes a valiant effort against Shao Kahn, but ultimately ends up losing his life because he gets his arm ripped off and he gets impaled through the throat. So now Earthrealm is down even more fighters. But this is where Kano also makes a funny appearance, where he uses his laser eye to blast through 3 of the guards for Outworld. And now him and Johnny Cage, which a lot of people say that these guys should have their own little spin-off comedy film, they figure, well, now we have to get to the Netherrealm to try to stop him from using the amulet. So with Liu Kang staying behind in Outworld, pretty much being one of the last lines of defense, you have Kano and Johnny Cage who make their way back to Lord Raiden to figure out how to get to the Netherrealm. Unfortunately, Lord Raiden says, "I don't have enough power to send you back here, so it's going to be a one-way trip." But that's where they find Hanzo Hasashi, aka Scorpion. And much to everybody's surprise, you see Hanzo gardening, and they're like, wait a minute, we thought this is hell. We thought this is the underworld. And that's when Hanzo explains that the underworld is different for everyone. And that illusion shatters when they find out that Bi-Han is there. So while the battle between Scorpion and Bi-Han ensues, Kano and Johnny Cage are fighting for their life to try to secure the amulet and to not die in the Netherrealm, so that way they're not stuck there forever. But during this fight, Bi-Han with his shadow clones are getting the best of Kano and Johnny Cage. That is until Johnny Cage finds his Arcana, his hidden power, which is what we know as the green glow. And he uses his shadow kick to knock the amulet away from Bi-Han, which gives Scorpion enough time to finish him. But we all know that it's the Netherrealm and it's Noob Saibot. He'll be back. So zip back to Outworld. We have the last line of defense for Earthrealm, Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn. Now, the fight between Shao Kahn and Liu Kang is still going on while Shao Kahn still has that amulet buff. And while Liu Kang also makes a valiant effort, he also gets impaled through the chest with the hammer, but he's then consumed by the dragon spirit, and then he zips away. But this counts as an official loss on Earthrealm. But whoa, wait a minute. Guess what? Earthrealm has one more fighter. Kitana then defects to Earthrealm and then fights Shao Kahn herself. Now, Kitana is able to do a substantial amount of damage to Shao Kahn, but he still has that amulet buff. And right before Shang Tsung is about to finish Raiden, that's when Johnny Cage and Kano are able to get the amulet back to him. And that's when he gets his Thunder God powers back. And Kitana makes one last-ditch effort to try to finish off Shao Kahn, in which he does that greatest fan fatality. That fatality was beautiful. I would say probably top 3, top 2 in the movie. So Earthrealm wins the tournament, and Shao Kahn's reign as the Outworld dictator is over. But Quan Chi and Shang Tsung are still out there somewhere. So now you have Earthrealm's remaining forces out to recruit new fighters. And they have to go to the Netherrealm to try to revive their friends. And that's how the movie ends. Now, as I said before in my non-spoiler review, this movie may not be for everybody. It may just be for the hardcore video game fans. And if you're a martial arts movie fan like I am, then you might like it as well. That's why I gave it the rating I gave it, which is an 8 out of 10. But anyway, what did you guys think of the movie and what did you rate it? But anyway, this has been Dreadman Movie Reviews. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.